Welcome back to Free Media. I'm Robby Soave.
And I'm Niall Stanage.
The dreaded autopen returns. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee released a report on former President Biden's use of the autopen. And in response, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said that Biden's pardons should be considered null and void. Watch this.
And you'll be reporting on this all day, but the Oversight Chairman James Comer released a blockbuster report now on the Biden autopen presidency. And this report includes 47 hours worth of transcripts and testimony revealing that every executive action signed by the autopen without written authorization from President Biden should be voided. This is an unprecedented situation in American politics and government. The actions of President Biden simply were not all his own actions, and there are major implications to that, including all the pardons that he signed. But don't get me started. Okay, on Friday.
Axios reported that former Biden Chief of Staff Jeff Zients told the House panel that he, Jake Sullivan, Antony Blinken, and a few other members of the administration had expressed concerns about Biden after the infamous and disastrous debate performance.
That autopen. So, look, I certainly think it's fair to question to what extent Biden was aware of who was getting pardons and what he was doing in his waning days in office. Now, I'm sure he was fully aware that he was pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. He did, however, we reported on, or we talked about on Rising, a pardon that the judge who did the Kids for Cash scheme got a commutation or a pardon. He had been released during COVID and then just allowed to remain out. And I remember the administration getting a question about it and clearly not being aware that he was on the list of people they pardoned. So there is that. Maybe that could happen to any president. But now, I don't think the pardons are going to be undone if it went through the courts because of this issue. But I think what's done is likely the result here. I guess I don't mind further House investigation of it because we are right to question the extent Biden was cognitive and capable at the end, but Republicans should not delude themselves into thinking they're actually going to undo the Hunter pardon or the Fauci pardon, which I would be glad to have undone. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I am skeptical of the whole enterprise here of inquiring into the autopen. I mean, you're saying, for example, they delude themselves about Hunter or Fauci. I'm not sure that really they intend to roll back the pardons. I think it is a political maneuver to keep the issue of Joe Biden's mental frailties front and center. Now, I don't see that there is any evidence, at least yet, that he was not aware of who he was pardoning. He did give an interview to the New York Times in July saying that he was aware of all the people to whom he had granted any kind of clemency.
You don't see the hand of Jill Biden hovering over him, moving the hand over the paper saying, yes. Yes.
I don't
kind
know,
of Grima worm tongue-esque.
We'll get into trouble for your Jill Biden impersonations of all the impersonations.
I was not doing an impression of her. I was doing an impression of some evil court advisor.
Force over the shoulder. Look, I don't think that the use of an autopen in and of itself is problematic. Trump used one during his first term. Other presidents have used the autopen. The question is there compelling evidence that it was used in a way by advisors or by other people who, not the president, to do things that a president would not have done or was not aware of. I don't see that there's any persuasive evidence that that was true in Biden's case.
I haven't seen any persuasive evidence yet. Yes, true. I mean, I like when, they do these press conferences, Trump signing things, and he has the advisor saying, well, tell him what it is, and he knows what it is, and he signs it. I like that. I think that's a good, healthy exercise.
I think that's good television, but I don't necessarily think it's necessary.
It fills me with confidence.
Well, maybe. Well, it doesn't. It depends what it is as to whether it fills me with confidence or not.
Deportation orders for Niall Stanage. Very good.
Well, exactly. Let me, order to just deploy the military at the drop of a hat. Yes, absolutely.
That's coming up next.
So that stuff doesn't fill me with confidence. But my basic view of this debate is it is Republicans wanting almost a year after Joe Biden was defeated in an election to keep him as a central topic or a central issue in political debate in a way that's not, in fact, all that salient to where we are now.
Not that salient, although, people who are seeking leadership in the Democratic Party, who were in the administration, are going to have to keep answering questions like this, including Kamala Harris, if she's sticking around, Pete Buttigieg, if he's sticking around, Zients and any of the others, if they're trying. I don't actually think they're trying. They should not expect to try to remain in electoral politics as this goes on.
I was literally walking here on my phone, as I tend to be too much when I'm walking, and I saw a clip of an interview with Kamala Harris. I believe it was with an Australian interviewer, and she was being pressed about Biden and so forth, and she got kind of defensive and said, "What exactly are you asking?" And the interviewer asked something about, "Do you think it was Biden's frailty that blah, blah, blah?" And Kamala Harris said she didn't think he was frail while president.
She said 18 different things on this topic by now. It's now not clear what any of them think or knew, or what they are pretending they thought or knew at the time, and it's becoming messy, and I think it will continue to haunt the Democratic Party. But we're not gonna, in all likelihood, the pardon power is fairly absolute. If you don't like that, then you'd have to change something about the Constitution. We've talked before. I wouldn't even be for changing that necessarily. You'd never get a pardon for Ross Ulbricht or other people who are who law enforcement would never allow. There's too much. They're too controversial. If there's more veto points, someone would say no to this. You'd never get those kinds of people pardoned. So I wouldn't be for doing it.
This is one of these odd issues where you're kind of more libertarian, certainly. That's not odd, but you're more inclined toward that sort of thing than I am. I'm not a huge fan of pardoning power, simply because I think if one takes the general rule that no one is above the law and then says, well, except if the president says it's okay, that seems to me not a great exemption or exception to what is a very solid rule.
Yeah, I just think you'd never get people like I would favor a pardon for Edward Snowden. I would favor pardon or commutation for Chelsea Manning. They would never. That individual would have never gotten out of prison if not for that power. So there's a give and take that goes with it. More free media right after this.